Yes, good morning. I was going to wait till 5:55 and wait, frankly, I'd been awake for over 2 hours and I just don't feel like waiting any longer. Been sitting here at the computer for the past 15 minutes approximately, checking my email. It's a quiet morning. I titled this today, Feeling Peace Despite the World. And I wrote a little blurb when I first came to the computer. Sitting in the silence for 2 waking hours, just being here. Observing everything. What a way to begin a Saturday morning. Who will understand? It is peaceful in the moment, here and now. I feel, I think, and I am. It's a nice feeling to experience some peace, yes, during that 2+ hour window. I've had recurring thoughts of the work that I'm involved in as far as the legal matters. I'll report to you that yesterday I did write to the court asking to be shown the contract that obligates me to pay the bill. Show me how I agreed to it and let them see what they do. I have no idea what their response will be. But I don't believe that I contracted with them to pay that bill. Therefore, if there's no contract, there is no bill. So many things in this world that we take for granted. We've been told this is the way it is. And we accept. Okay, well, that's the way it is. And the reason it's the way it is because we accept it. Now, I don't know what's going to happen when we stop accepting the world's attempt to press all of us into its mold. And when I say the world as if it's doing something to us, again, it's a matter of our consciousness. Being, just being in the silence and realizing that I can observe what I think of as me, the physical, being with a name, here in a physical world, a 3-dimensional reality. I'm that. I can identify with that. But I can also realize that I'm more than that as I look into my eyes in the mirror sitting at my meditation altar. Yes, I have a mirror right behind my altar. I'm either looking at the mirror or looking at the flame. I always burn candles. Well, I don't always do anything. I most often burn candles. Sometimes I have sat just simply in not only the silence but the darkness. And I like beginning my days just meditating. Some days, like today, I not only go into the meditation room, I go into the atrium. It's interesting in my atrium. I have a bird that lives there. It's been living there probably now for going on 2 months. I've only seen it a few times, but I hear it chirping inside of the atrium, and it's a screened-in area. It's the only access points into the atrium are through the drain and through the chimney. And yet I have this, I believe it's called a chimney swallow, bird that came down my chimney, and I've wanted it to go out. I've invited it to go back out. I don't know why it would choose to live inside of my atrium, and yet I hear it chirping from various corners of the room. And I think, my God, why are you choosing to live in this 20-foot by 20-foot enclosed area when you can be free and fly outside? I mean, I don't understand why you would choose to live here. And as I was listening to it chirp, I'm thinking, how many people living on this planet have abilities and the ability to be free that they don't see, that they don't even realize. The way in was we came down a chimney, as it were. A wormhole, a tunnel, into a more limited reality. And the way out is back through the same wormhole. It's just a matter of being willing to ascend by the same means that we descended. I didn't know I was going to use this analogy, although it did cross my mind in the atrium. But it was just a passing thought, and then I let it go. And I came back here. But we do that, don't we? We do that to ourselves. We come down the wormhole into a 3D reality from a higher dimensionality to have soul experience. To experience what it's like to live in a more limited world. And so few of us, until this present time, even knew that we could go back out to the other side. Yeah, there's always been people that have found peace in the midst of turmoil. There's always been that kind of a person, the mystic, the sage, the seer. But for the most part, humans have been willing to be like that little chimney swallow, content to live in a more enclosed area when a world of freedom is just up the chimney. I doubt it came in through the drain. In fact, I'm sure it didn't. Most birds, I'm told, don't fly down chimneys, but chimney swallows are the exception. Are we all like chimney swallows in a way? Oh, the crazy questions that come to mind for me. But getting back to debts, we live in a debt-based society. We buy into the debts as if we actually owe them. But the debts were created just like most of the money is created on this planet, out of thin air. In fact, when you really understand creation, everything is created from no thing. Everything is. Even our physical bodies are mostly empty space, only giving the appearance of solidity. Oh yeah. Solid, right? And yet there are people that can go right through solid structures as if they aren't even there. What's the difference? What's the difference? What is reality? What is your reality? How do you see yourself? And how do you see the world? Is the world your master? Is the enclosure your total reality that you're willing to look at? Just like that Chimney, is it chimney sweep? No, not chimney. It's chimney swallow. Chimney sweep is a person that sweeps chimneys. Duh. As in Larry Poppins. Dick Van Dyke. My Uncle Dick. He was a chimney sweep in that movie. You see, I'm rambling. But I want you to feel the peace. Because in a sense, it all doesn't matter, does it? Not really. We're having the experience. Whatever the experience is, we're having the experience. What is it that we're going to claim for ourselves? At this point in time, I didn't claim the bill as a debt that I owed. Will I end up paying it? Perhaps I will. Perhaps I won't. Perhaps they will say, well, if you don't want to pay the money, we're not going to hear the appeal. We're not going to follow through on the appeal. And they'll throw it out. And that's a possibility. I don't know what they're going to do. If they end up throwing it out, it proves one thing to me. That so-called justice comes with a very high price tag. And only those with a lot of money can afford justice. And of course that's not justice, is it? That's injustice. But that's the world that we live in. And most of us just take it for granted that, well, that's the way it is. No, that's the way we've allowed it to be. Just like that bird could fly free, each of us can fly free if we choose to. Most of us don't choose to, do we? We choose to stay in the more restricted area, the more limited reality. And we live there. We may chirp in the corners and rarely come out of hiding, just like that little bird. I've only seen it 2 or 3 times, flying around the room. I tried to get it to go out. I invited it to. But most of the time I just hear the chirping. I've looked for it in the corners where the chirping is coming from. I'll be darned that I cannot see that little black bird. With it's got a little bit of color on it, but not much. Mostly black. Hiding well. Camouflaged very neatly. Are we camouflaged in our little worlds? I think we are. We're camouflaged with other people that don't seem to know that they could be free. And yet there's a flame of freedom that burns in them just as it burns in those of us that are waking up. And it's a beautiful thing to know that the world is changing because we are waking up. Because some of us have ventured back up the chimney and flown into the world where there is unlimited possibilities, unlimited resources, unlimited potential to experience something brand new. And yet there really is nothing brand new, nothing new under the sun. But from our limited time-space reality, it's brand new to us because we don't remember that we did it before. Anyway, it's a peaceful, loving morning. I thank you for listening and for being my friend, for sharing your heart and your love with me, and there are so many of you that do. I thank you for all this. Namaste. I love you.